Welcome, Friartown. Steve Napolillo, Senior Associate Athletic Director at Providence College. Really excited to have you here tonight for our first ever PC Women's Basketball Zoom call. Coach Crowley and his terrific staff are here along with our Zoom MVP moderator, Coach Bobby Walsh. We're really excited to have everyone with us tonight. Tonight's Zoom call is presented by our good friend Lou Silva from Hanush Jewelers. Lou is our presenting sponsor for the Friar Golf Classic, Hanush Friar Golf Classic, which is rescheduled for September 3rd at Warwick Country Club. We also want to give a huge shout out to our assistant coach, Priscilla Edwards, for doing a phenomenal job with her cafe, Glow Cafe in Providence. Our next Zoom call will be there on Priscilla, so huge shout out to Coach Edwards. But PC women's basketball is truly a family. There's no better experience in Friartown than taking your sons, daughters, grandkids to a PC women's basketball game in Alumni Hall and really enjoying a special experience. We want everyone to join us this upcoming year. We have our main contact, who's a great teammate, Brianna Robinson. Brianna, please introduce yourself and let the fans know how they get involved in PC women's basketball.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brianna Robinson, and I'm one of the assistant ticket managers here at Providence College. Just want to take the time to say thank you for joining us tonight. Just a couple things we want to go over before we start tonight. All participants are currently on mute, and if you want to ask any additional questions to our staff, please use the Q&A option down at the bottom of the screen. Season tickets are ready for renewals for our current season ticket holders. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or needed assistance. New season tickets are available starting next week on Monday. Thank you, and let's get started.
Thanks, Bree. Thanks for all your hard work for Friartown. Really excited, folks, for you guys to get an inside look at PC women's basketball. So let's get right to it. Coach Bobby Walsh and Coach Crowley and his staff, thanks for doing this tonight. Let's have some fun.
Appreciate it, Steve. What's going on, Friartown? My new title is Zoom MC, so if we don't get back to playing pretty soon, I'm going to take over as a Zoom host for the time being. So excited to have a conversation with Coach Crowley and his staff. Hopefully everybody out there is staying safe and healthy and being smart, and we're all dying to get back out on the court pretty quickly. So but for tonight, we have a bunch of your questions from the fans, from the season ticket holders, some topics of conversation. And like Brianna said, also we'll take some more in the Q&A feature as we move the conversation along. So excited to spend some time with Coach Crowley and his staff. And I know I'll learn a good amount from getting in depth with how they run their program and everything that they're all about. So Coach Crowley, we haven't been able to see each other on campus in a long time, but it is good to see, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Thanks, Bob. And I just want to thank everybody for joining us. Hope everybody is safe and healthy and starting to be able to get outside to enjoy some of the great weather we've been having recently. It really means a lot to all of us that you would join us here this evening, that you take time out of your schedule to talk with us and to hear where we're at and what's going on with us. I get ready to enter year 5 here in Friartown. I've been fortunate to have 4 of my staff with me for all of those years. As Steve mentioned, Coach Priscilla Edwards is our associate head coach and runs the Glow Cafe. If you missed the article in the Providence Journal recently, you missed what it's all about. It's right down the street from campus, and we highly encourage folks to try it out. Tiara Johnson is one of my other assistant coaches, been with me for a long time. Can't even count the years, that's how long, but all 5 years here in Friartown. Jess Jenkins has also been here with us all 4 years heading into year 5, as has Jennifer Nabrizny, our director of operations, and heading into year 3 with us is our director of player development, Jesse Frasier. So really lucky to have them all with us, and I'm sure you'll hear from them as well today, since no one wants to hear me talk the whole time. So I figured the best way would kind of be to update where we are, especially in consideration of the situation we've been in. These last 3.5 months have been interesting, unique, and at times challenging. We finished the Big East Conference tournament early March 7th, I believe, was when we all separated, thinking we'd be back in a little while, and we knew this past season wasn't what we wanted it to be. It was disappointing. We none of us were at the level we needed to be. But there was a true excitement as we were getting ready to hit in the off season, because we knew how talented we were and we knew the fix, and we were excited as a program to attack that. Yet then COVID-19 stepped in and completely changed everyone's world. So when our kids went home for break, they never came back, or haven't yet come back, I should say. And so the March was really a little bit of scramble mode and what do we do mode. And thankfully to my staff who really did a great job of communicating and settling our players, and an incredible thank you to Caitlin O'Malley, OAS, and the academic support people at Providence College. They were able to get all of our kids set up for online learning without really missing a beat. It was really, it's one of those things to look back at and not sure how it happened, but just to be incredibly impressed that it happened so smoothly. So once they were set and rolling, we kind of headed into April when we realized staying at home was going to be the rest of the semester. So dealt with that disappointment and that frustration. And again, to our kids' credit, their resiliency showed forward and they went right back to work. They got into a routine academically and did very well with that. We were able to add more things basketball-wise and start more conversations there. Then we had to make sure we were really looking out and having conversations about most of our team were in hotspots. Back in April, the hotspots were out this way, and we had players in New York City, players in Massachusetts, players in Connecticut, players in Michigan. So helping them through that and having lots of conversations there, and then also dealing with a couple of players moving out of the program and how that impacted us, but also how that made us stronger through dealing with that adversity. As the calendar turned to May, we were wrapping up school, which again, to be put in the situation we did, and to have to deal with what our kids had to deal with to finish with a spring team GPA of a 3.56 was something we're really, really proud of. And again, great acknowledgement to my staff and Caitlin O'Malley and her people at OAS. We were able to do more basketball and really kind of zero in on some things. We covered a different topic each week. Every week we'd have a call with the team. So we'd talk about our, the basics of our offense, the basics of our defense. We talk about parts of our defense, and those would be interactive, and really felt and continue to feel really good about what those conversations looked like and how they've helped people. We were able to do individual film, small group film, position-wise, individual film with me to really talk about the strengths of our players and to get them to understand where we're coming from with those strengths and how to best take advantage of them. And then just as that was going well, our program, like the entire country, was rocked by the social injustice and the deaths of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd. And this opened the eyes of a lot of people to the injustices and the daily struggles and challenges that the Black players and Black staff members have and what they're dealing with. And it's something that we're tackling and hoping to keep improving. We pride ourselves on being a very diverse group. So we want to make sure that we're talking about race, acknowledging race, educating about race, and want to be leaders in showing the improvement that can happen and how the races can communicate and get better. So as the calendar heads towards the end of June, we are working hard in that area, continuing to educate and try to improve. We're working hard in the basketball area, and we're really hopeful that we'll be able to see our players soon. So while this has been a challenging time, it has reaffirmed how much I care and love this group and how excited I am to get them back on campus and get working with them because it's a group that we knew well because of our experience. But I think we could all say without hesitation, these 3.5 months while we've been apart, we've gotten to know each other more and in a more detailed and deep way that we are really, really excited about what that's going to bring us to. So I'll try not to use the word excited anymore as we go forward and find a new word, but I don't have a thesaurus with me. So I'll do my best there and try to stop talking for a minute.
Great stuff, Coach. I appreciate it. So, the whole staff is on, and we have a bunch of questions that Jen Reinierson put together that came from season ticket holders and fans, and some of the stuff that she also thought would be good topics. So I'll send them kind of your way and start the conversation. And if you want your staff to take on some of the topics, just you can handle that. So just for some background, you know, you've been here 4 years now. We've had some conversations, some really good conversations, just walking through the gym and at practice and stuff. But I'm interested in heading into year 5 and certainly in an unprecedented situation. So it's going to be different than any other year any of us has ever had. But what have you learned about Providence College? Maybe some things that were a little bit different than you thought, better than you thought, some surprises now that you've been here for 4 years.
Yeah, and there always are surprises, and there's a learning period, and we feel really good where we're at as far as understanding who the school is and what players fit with us and this college, and can not only be successful but can really thrive academically, basketball wise, and socially. And you know, I came from a school that was a small Catholic school in a good league, good basketball league. And there was a lot of challenges there as far as resources and different things. So I think I had the belief that that was a challenge, would be a similar challenge here at Providence. And that has not been the case. The support and the resources are amazing. We have the things in place that we need in place. You know, we've been very pleased to the way people have embraced us. And one of the things that I think has really got me going and surprised me is how passionate and loyal and how much people care about this program. And as we've had some positive steps, the great job that the ticket office has done, but the enthusiasm for the program, it really motivates us to get us to where we know we're going to go, because we have so many people who do care deeply about it.
Yeah, Friartown definitely is a special place in that way. And it's an area where, you know, basketball is just important in the winter. It always has been. So, you know, the players and the staff can feel it. And interesting note about your staff, all 3 of the assistant coaches, Tiara, Priscilla, and Jess, played for you and have now coached for you. So how important is that? The continuity that you've had pretty much your entire staff here since you've been here, but having former players who played for you, who know what you're all about, how important is that as far as moving this program forward?
Yeah, and Jennifer was our manager for 4 years and has worked with me. So there's a lot of depth there. And I, the best word I could use it for is it's a gift. And after a challenging season, you know, you need to hear the things maybe that aren't comfortable or you don't want to hear. And it's a gift that they're willing to tell me. And that's part of the reason why, to me, this off season has been really beneficial because of the growth that I've been able to have because of their honesty, because of their trust in me. And, you know, I've known most of them since they were 15, 16 years old. And I've been able to watch them have great careers as college students and to grow into incredible professionals. So we talk all the time, or I at least talk in recruiting, that you know, if you wonder what it's like to play in our program, look at these young ladies, look at these young women, where they are and what they can do. And you know, they're incredible role models, and they care deeply about our student athletes, which to me are the most important things that you could have in a coach.
Yeah, there's no stronger sign of belief or buy-in in your program than people who played for you, who now coach for you, who are still by your side and willing to tell you the truth. And it's not that easy as a head coach sometimes, especially when you're struggling, you know, for people to tell you the truth, even when it's, you know, it might not be something you want to hear. That level of trust is crucial. So I'm interested in what you talked about. I mean, some of the stuff you did in the off season, and a lot of the questions that were sent in were about how are you staying connected to your team, and how's the sort of player development going in the spring? I mean, one area we all expect our kids to take a leap in the spring, but when you've got a team that was pretty young last year, took some licks, returning the majority of the team, I think 7 of your top 8, you're counting on, you know, certainly this spring and summer to be crucial improvement areas for you. So can you get into that a little bit more in depth of what you've done so far and what you continue to do as far as film and individual development?
Yeah, and we really try to pride ourselves on player development. And I'm going to defer to my staff here in a second to talk more about it, because they do a lot of the heavy lifting here. But from a program standpoint, we have a weekly meeting where we start off by updating them all the information we know and what's going on with campus and NCAA information. When school was going on, we reviewed academic stuff. We now talk about basketball, and we'll have a certain area. For instance, we have our team meeting Saturday morning this week, and we're going to focus in on rebounding. So we'll go through a lot of clips of rebounding. They'll talk through what they're seeing in those clips. We'll show the things that we do really well and how we can improve the things we need to. But a lot of that stuff, and one of the things I will say, I'm having more communication with our players than I probably would if they were on campus. We'd see them on the gym, and we'd have kind of just simple talks and kind of normal greetings. Just about every week I've had multiple conversations with every kid in our program besides the team meeting stuff and the position group. But our philosophy for player development adjusted because we're doing it this way and because of some of the NCAA restrictions. But I'm going to let our staff kind of take and talk a little bit more about what they've done and what our beliefs are and how we set things up for that.
Sure, to kind of dive, I guess I'll dive in first. This off season has been obviously an interesting one. The use of film and Zoom and FaceTime has been, the gift that keeps on giving per se. We spend a lot of time just recapping, different areas. So positionally, on top of the team meeting that we have position groups, just like we would in person, but obviously these are virtual. And in our position groups, we cover a range of things. We cover watching, games from this past season. Sometimes we'll watch or we'll select a point guard to kind of study from any level. So it can be NBA, WNBA, other college players. Sometimes it's not about basketball at all. It's about, just some of the intangible stuff that's really important that we want to continue to improve on going into next season. So definitely spending a lot of time, getting our Zoom miles in per se, and spending a lot of time just having these conversations and utilizing just the circumstances that we're in. We find that these meetings have helped our players take their mind off of everything else that's going on. So it's been good to see the development, from a standpoint of basketball, but just overall, I'd say.
Yeah, I would agree with P. Like the Zoom sessions, the FaceTime, that stuff is all really good. Helped us out a lot. Usually in our off seasons, if they were on campus, we would do these books, these development books that we like to use for them each year. Kind of going over some things they need to improve, what they did well that previous season with the Big East teams we play every year. So they're familiar with things that they can, take advantage of and things they struggle with. Of each team we played. So this summer we did those books, we sent them out, and now those are good one-on-one conversations with our athletes where they can see the film, we can talk it through, and then we go back and forth and have these huge dialogues about, things they want to improve, goals they want to have, things they struggle with, just seeing stuff that you really don't want to see, but you have to sit and see those things and get better with it. I think that was a really good thing we did this summer. This pandemic situation has definitely been a good thing for us as well.
We've definitely had to get creative as far as the stuff that we're watching with them on film. Like they can only watch themselves on film for so long. So like P said, we've done some, pro film or college film. And I've let them pick a little bit of players they want to watch or stuff so that they're definitely engaged, which has helped learn more about them and kind of what they like to watch on the floor or who they look up to. So it's definitely been creative, but it's been a learning experience for, I think, our staff and our kids as well.
That's a great approach. I was going to ask, T, you mentioned the player development books. How much input do they have? Do you ask them where they really feel they need to improve? How much are they giving you input as far as what they want to improve on before next season?
Yeah, so even before we start the books, we're having those conversations before previous about what they believe they struggle with, what they want to work on. So we have those before we even start the books. And then as we go through the books, we see if their choices have changed or they want to improve something else. And I've actually seen some of our forwards who I work with actually change their approach of what they want to get better at. At the beginning, it could have been like jump shots. Now they're saying, I want to dominate the left side of the post block. So I see I only scored 30% from there. So now I want to continue to get better from there instead of trying to focus on the jump shot. So it's been really good and really detailed conversations about what they want to fix and what they want to get better at.
That's
And one of the
amazing.
things we love about those books, Bob, is so how we build them is the assistants. You know, Coach T works with our post players, Coach P works with our point guards, Coach Jess works with our shooters. So they'll take all of those players and they'll watch every single clip of them in Big East play and coordinate all that information to present. And we like to come from a place of strength and make sure they understand what they're good at. And sometimes that takes a little while, as T was saying. Sometimes it takes a little while for them to really understand and recognize where they're best at and how that best fits with our offense. So, but it also gives us a great knowledge of our team. We're going to play the same offense, we're going to play the same defense. So now we're seeing how teams defend certain players and how we can take advantage of it. And we're being able to communicate that to our student athletes, and they're also able to communicate it to us. So we're all speaking the same language. And that's one of the things that has clicked this summer. It has clicked with folks about what we're saying and why, and how that fits to not just their improvement, but more importantly, how it helps improve us as a group.
The amount of data we have is amazing now, right? The information that we can get to help the players improve, from everything online and synergy and analytics is really helpful. So, Coach, you have kind of an interesting approach that I think involves the individual development as far as the way you guys practice. The team time is sort of cut down, right? You guys, I think we're going about 60 minutes generally. Is that your time as a group, as a team during the season, with the individual development being outside of that? Could you talk a little bit about that, how you approach that and how it helps you improve?
Yeah, we had looked at shortening practices, and 2 years ago, found a lot of success with it. Now that was with an experienced group. When we had Maddie and Yo-Yo as veteran leaders, they really put a lot of demands on their teammates in practice. So we were able to be very efficient. We're going to push that longer now, just because we've got to spend more time making sure people understand exactly what we want and how to be really good at it. But we do believe in the simple approach. We really want to be good at these few things, and we got away from that. I got away from that last year, and one of the things that my staff really talked to me about and made me understand is how effective we are when we stick to what we're good at, and not just talking about it or expecting it, but demanding it every single day with repetition. So we will be going longer practice, but we had gone an hour, and we found some success, but I think we needed a really experienced group with that. And each time you kind of look at your group and take a inventory of what best would suit them, and where we're at now, we're going to need to go a little longer and use that time to spend with the repetition of what we expect and need.
Yeah, college basketball, it's a new team every year, even if you have veterans returning. I mean, it's certainly, they're older, they expect more, they've had different experiences. So you mentioned that you used the term the fix earlier when talking about studying the team and your conversations with your staff. You kind of said, what the fix is. What do you feel really needs to improve? Where do you guys really need to get better to have success next year?
Well, where it comes from for me is practice. We need to be more demanding to have the consistency in practice. I think everyone on this call saw enough of our games to see parts of where we stood toe to toe with everybody, but it wasn't long enough, and it wasn't consistent enough. And that consistency in practice of how exactly we want to play, and with our ball movement offensively, with our discipline on the defensive end. So it sounds really easy, but it's going to be very challenging. The fix is demanding those things when things are going good, things are going bad, all the time. And again, as we talked about with the individuals, demanding those things that they're best at and sticking to those, and making sure we're holding folks accountable when they're not sticking to those things.
Yeah, sounds simple. Certainly isn't in practice. I mean, it's hard to get the most out of them every day. So individually, are there certain players you expect, you need? Obviously, everybody's got to improve, but are there certain players you feel like, okay, these two need to get better for us to be successful, or a couple that are ready to take a big leap? Go through some of your personnel maybe and where they're at and what you expect of them moving forward.
Yeah, I think, we'll start with Mary. And Mary is obviously incredibly talented. Big East Freshman of the Year, and did not have the year that most people would hope for her sophomore year, but still led us in points and rebounding and blocks and field goal percentage. We've got to do a better job she runs the floor incredibly well. We've got to do a better job of making sure we reward that. We've got to demand, as I said in practice, we got to demand that she does not foul. We have to push that, and she has to be part of that, and she's ready to be part of that. These are still 17, 18, 19-year-old kids, and sometimes they've got to go through things to understand what works best for them. And Mary, it's strange to say what I'm about to say because of the circumstance, but Mary's had a very good off season, and so we're looking forward to seeing that in work. Alyssa Geary's a kid that can be really dangerous and showed that at times this past year. Again, has to be more disciplined defensively, but can shoot the three, is really good around the basket, can pass, and her maturity and her off season of recognizing that thing and owning up to the things she needs to get better at. Kayla Webb is a really talented player. Is one of the better shooters I've ever coached, but understanding what goes along with that, and that she's tops on the scouting report, and everybody's going to be taking her away, and how she can still get those shots and how she still can impact the team. Our entire senior class brings something special. Dre Cooper can guard everybody and is an incredible leader. Liv Orlando can play every position and is an incredible leader. Kira Spiewak showed flashes early in the year. She was one of the top 3-point shooters in the country, and is an incredible worker, and has to be able to understand that that's who she is all the time, not just when things are going well, but all the time. And then Janelle Williams has pretty much started at times for 3 years, and will be a 4-year starter, and as fast as anyone, and late in the year was playing as well as anyone in our team. So again, looking forward to what she can give. And then the other two returners, Sophia Widmeyer and Lauren Sampson, are both kids that really work their butts off and can shoot the ball. And so getting them to understand, do that, keep working really hard, and be ready that when you're open, because you're going to get open, to knock down those shots. And as I said at the start, no one reached their potential, and that's what gets us going, because we're seeing, as we rewatch these films, these bits of them having this and doing this, and they're seeing that. So then as a head coach, it's my job to make sure it's consistent, because it's clear the ability is there. We've got to make sure we put them in those good spots to be successful and to demand the consistency from it.
You talked about Mary and foul trouble, and she only played about 20 minutes a game. Are you calling fouls in practice? That's always something I've wondered about and struggled with. Like, you want your kids to play through it. You want to see some toughness, but then, and we certainly went through it this year. I mean, we beat the heck out of each other in practice every day. And sometimes it ended up just being a scrum. Are you calling fouls in practice to try and teach them, hey, that's a foul, we got to stay away from doing that? Or are you letting the flow go and trying to get them to play through it?
Well, we needed to. Last year we should have been calling more. We did call them, and we tried a few different things. We tried running and everything, different stuff. But Mary felt a lot of pressure last year. Coming off a freshman season where she was able to have the support of two very talented seniors, and then it was kind of like, well, now you got to jump and do all these things. And that's why I bring up that she still led us in all these categories and still had a solid year. We would all say, hey, it should be better, it could be better. But there was a lot of really good things there. One of the things that we believe with fouling, and again, it's a controllable thing, and we know it and we will, is conditioning, is that physical and mental conditioning, and being in situations where you you think you're too tired to perform, and we've got to make you perform, and we've got to make you perform with discipline, and we got to make you perform to your strength. So kind of what I went back to, that where a big improvement area for us is going to come on the practice floor, and to go to your point, whether it's calling fouls or doing more conditioning or putting them in situations where they're tired or under complete pressure, and being able to handle those moments. When we were with the shorter practices, some of that stuff got left by the wayside as a shortcoming by me. So we want to make sure we correct that, knowing and informing the team that this is coming, and you will be ready and you will handle it well.
Anyone you or maybe your staff thinks could really surprise people this year, make a big leap that might be unexpected to help you?
I think there's a few people. I'm not going to put that pressure on them with acknowledging that early. I've talked to them, to those players personally. And it's always interesting. If you're ready for it, that's great. But if the player doesn't know it and they're not ready for it, then they're probably not going to do it. And then you have some issues. So I think there's a couple that are on the verge of having some pretty big years that maybe fans would notice. I think there's also a couple ready to have pretty big years that we will notice. And what I mean by that is kids who are going to be just after it every day in practice, and maybe it's getting their name on the scouting report. Maybe it's moving up the scouting report. So I think we have a couple of those kids that I'm really excited about, but I do think we have a few kids who are ready to make a leap to really be some of the elite players in the Big East.
You mentioned Liv Orlando and how important she is to you. She missed almost half the season with injury. What can she bring, hopefully being healthy for the year? How important is she to your success?
Liv's a winner. We had a winning record when Liv went down, and in that time we'd beaten 2 BCS schools. We were playing really well. She settles us. She can play all 5 positions, and she settles us. She rebounds really well. She makes good decisions. But more than anything, she's an incredible teammate. As good a teammate as I've been fortunate enough to coach, and that stuff's contagious. And when you're on the floor and she's talking to you and picking you up and telling you to move on, you do it. It's different when she's on the bench. But she learned a lot this year watching, a lot, and so. We're really looking forward to keeping her healthy and getting her back in there, just because she makes us much better. And the impact of not having her in practice was big too, because you don't take a drill off when Liv's in a drill.
Sounds like a guy we're going to miss a ton, Khalif Young, who just wasn't a scorer for us, but did everything right. And we just were a better team with him out on the floor. And when you lose someone like that, it has a huge impact. So
yeah, and I mean, I'm sure, to me, if you're going to have a good team, 2 things really have to happen. You have to have a kid who does the dirty work, who keeps the team together, and then if you really want a good team, then your best player has to be your best teammate. And so those are things that we're working towards.
The point guard spot, who do you see handling most of the point guard duties next year, and how's that position going to shape up for you?
I'll just say a couple things. I'm going to let Coach P talk more about that. She handles our point guard play. But my belief in college basketball, whatever the level or gender, there's no more important position than point guard. And there's no harder position to recruit for. And the fact that we have 2 seniors who have done it a lot really helps me sleep better at night. And that also adds on a freshman, Grace Afosa, who's coming in, who we feel really, really good about. So I'll let Coach P talk some more about those folks, but that's where I'm at with it.
Thanks, Coach. So, he puts the pressure on by saying it's the most important position there is, and you can't function without it. But no, having 2 point guards and Liv and Chanel, and of course Grace will be coming along in that position as well. But having those 2 who have a bunch of experience, they're coming in with a positive assist to turnover ratio this past season, and really just having a good understanding of just what's expected and what the team needs. So, we feel good about their growth over this time. And as Coach said, it's a very hard position to master. So you would think, okay, they're juniors, they haven't figured out, but really it takes the whole time, coming in and having that understanding, that feel of what coach wants, but also just knowing and understanding that feel of your teammates, right? So just where to get them shots, or, where to get them the ball, or what they need, or just the pulse of where we are as a team. So we're feeling really good about their progress. Both of them have been really, really good with taking in film this off season. Like we said, everything is virtual and online, but they've kind of really used this time to learn about themselves and learn about the position in a different way. And they fully embraced that. So feeling really good about their progress and their growth. Now, of course, we're still a long ways away, and we're looking forward to getting back on the court with them so that we can take that next step in terms of continuing to get better, but definitely making some strides even with the circumstance.
Yeah, it's a hard position to master because it's the one that we think as coaches reflects us the most, right? I mean, it's like we are pounding them about what they're doing, and it's the most challenging position to play for sure. Interested in how you coach. You mentioned assist to turnover ratio. How do you coach turnovers? How do you get your guards playing with confidence and the freedom to make plays, but also, make them aware of how important it is to take care of the ball? Do you have an approach to that?
We do, and again, it was one that didn't show itself as well as it should have last year, but at times did. We had, of our returning players, I believe of the people who played big minutes, there's just a couple that didn't have a positive turnover ratio. So it's a big emphasis of mine, and even bigger moving forward. But what we try to do is make sure they understand our offense and with the way we play, not just who does what, but also how people are going to cover them. We have some players who aren't knockdown 3-point shooters, which means they're going to be open in space if you're in trouble. So we should never have a bad pass when those folks are on the floor, because they're always open. And what we've hit really hard to help with that during this time is how the folks in our league guard us, and how we can take advantage of that, and recognizing that again, so you have kind of the answers to the test before you take it, in that, okay, this team is going to really react to the ball. So when you're stuck, the curl behind's open. That's where you have to go. Live to fight another day. Just make that extra pass there, and where your teammates will be open. So while we'll do a lot of the drills within the offense and different things like that, one of the areas where I'm confident that we'll be better with that, because of our experience, because of how we're teaching it, is to take advantage of being aware, to take advantage of how teams are guarding, not just for baskets, but for completed passes, and making sure we understand how important and how valuable a completed pass is.
Yeah, you mentioned the offense. I like watching it because you give your kids a lot of freedom. It's a 5-out really motion, involving penetration and kick, and reliance on the 3-point shooting. Have you always emphasized, 3-point shooting and having shooters on the floor? Is that something that's evolved as you've gotten through your coaching career?
One of our main things is spacing. As you know, it's really hard to space the floor if you don't have folks who can shoot it. And it's getting even more so now with how many folks can, or at least think they can shoot from that 3-point line. But we're fortunate to have on our staff one of the best shooter I've ever coached, and one of the best I've ever seen in Jess Jenkins, who does a great job with that. And while we would definitely think, hey, we can shoot the ball better and we'll shoot the ball better, we still shot it at a pretty good clip. So for us, it is part of our offense. It's a big part of our offense. I think my staff would tell me, and I would agree, it should be a bigger part of our offense because we have the folks who can do it. But we try to teach it through keeping the paint open, and how that will create space for you, and being ready in those shots that we practice a lot and you're good at.
How do you coach confidence in that area?
Yeah, repetition. And I'm going to let Coach Jess talk a little bit more about that, but for me, it's repetition and knowledge of the shots you're going to get, and repetition of those shots.
Yeah, the one thing that's been unique working with them on film and while they're at home and not being able to work with our shooters on the floor is that they have to know why they missed on their own now. So a lot of times in workouts, they miss a couple and I can tell them why they missed. But being home, I can't do that. So they have to learn how to miss or know why they miss and then fix it quicker, which I think will be beneficial for them this year. And the more you know your shot, the more confident you are in it. So I think that will only help once they're actually back on the floor here. So I think that's thing number one for them.
As a shooter, Jess, did you always know why you missed? I mean, did you always want to have that answer every time you missed a shot?
Yeah, I think it helps with consistency. It helps with confidence. So it obviously takes a lot of reps and a lot of like purposeful reps as well when you're in the gym and not just going through the motions of getting shots up to be able to know why you miss. But once you start to figure it out, you just kind of always know.
Do you ever challenge them just to take their meal money on the road every now and then, just to a shootout, just to teach them a lesson?
I try to make sure I can still make some shots just in case anybody ever challenges me.
I love it. So that type of offense, coach, 5 out, a lot of shooters. Are you recruiting a certain type of personnel? Is there a certain type of player that fits, that gives you an advantage in that offense? Obviously, they have to have the skills that you need to be successful playing that way.
Yeah, and they also have to have a mindset that is might be a little unique to play to their strengths, which and to be able to understand that their strengths may not be what they like best, and that's a challenge sometimes for some kids, and it's a challenge that sometimes I do really well as a coach, other times I want to be better at, and then explaining that strength and how it best suits the team. So that's one. It's also recruiting people who are willing to make the extra pass, recruiting people who understand that and are willing to do that, and folks who understand spacing. So being able to look at people who play, to look at forwards who are comfortable on the perimeter, but also being able to plug some people in based on their skills. Mary may not be a kid who is really comfortable on the perimeter, but because of the way she runs the floor, because of the way she can crash the boards, because of the way she can get to the post late, she forces the defense to make decisions onto how they're going to guard her, which creates opportunity for her or our shooters. So it's something we're really zeroing in on moving forward even more with recruiting. I think the 2 kids we have coming in this year, Julia and Grace, fit really well how we play, and our classes moving forward. Staff's doing a great job of identifying people to fit those credentials to go along with obviously the talent you need to play at the Big East level.
You've mentioned spacing a number of times, and is obviously you can teach concepts certainly, but how much of it has to be sort of innate feel, understanding of the game that these players have, and how much of it can you instill in them when they get here?
Well, some of us feel and some of us experience of playing. These kids are coming in now having played for a lot of different coaches. There was a time where, the folks on my staff, and when I recruited them, they maybe played for 2 coaches, an AAU coach and a high school coach. Now folks, may have their own personal basketball trainer, their shooting coach, their weight training coach, play for 3 different AAUs or 2 different high schools. So they're getting a lot of exposure to different styles. So that helps with understanding it. But it can be taught and it can be understood. And, we try to always drive home that, you don't want to be in a spot where 1 can guard 2. That's your spacing and how important it is with creating passing angles and creating opportunities for you and for the team. So we do look for it, and it is something that you see some folks with experience, and we may get a little more excited about a recruit. We may see a kid we really like and be like, hey, our high school team played 5 out, so they can speak the language quicker. But that's why sometimes it takes a little time too. That's why sometimes it takes till their junior year or senior year to really fully understand how to best take advantage of that spacing.
That's a simple way to put it. I like that. Just don't be somewhere where 1 can guard 2. That gets the point across pretty easily. Other side of the ball, defensively, where I like to focus, you're second in the Big East in field goal percentage defense. I think you're top 60 nationally. What are the keys to being good defensively? Were you where you wanted to be this year, and how much better do you need to get to be successful next year?
Again, I'll say a little bit, and I'll turn it over to Coach T, who handles our defense. And for those of you who've been to the game, I'm sure you know that, since she is playing defense almost the entire game while coaching, and she does an amazing job with it. But we're not where we want to be. Those numbers are nice, but we're not where we want to be. We want to be where defense wins us games regularly, and we're not there. We're certainly not there in the Big East. I think we're really closer than people realize, which is something that we look forward to and something that falls upon us to demand. But I think we have an opportunity to be pretty decent on that side of the ball. I'll let Coach T talk some more about it.
Bob, you stole my thunder. I had my stats here all ready to break down.
I had to be prepared, T.
Yeah, so it, like Coach was saying, like we are at a good place. I mean, we can always be better. Some of the things that I think really helped with coming out of this pandemic, we were able to break down our defense completely. And we were able to explain to our young ladies the importance of our defense and why we do it. And then they're able to see clips of it. So now they have a full and complete understanding of why we do it and how we do it. So now they're seeing it, they understand it. So as they're coming back on the court, whenever we get them back, now they are just ready to buy in and understand that. Some things that we can continue to get better at, I know, is cutting the possessions we defend, right? A lot of times we're defending teams, we're getting them take tough shots, and then we're giving them offensive rebounds. All right, so now we're having a second time to defend there. What we want to do is continue to lock up that first rebound, defensive rebound, so we're not giving them second and third opportunities to score as well as wearing us down. We want to continue to defend and have long defensive possessions, able to defend for 25, 27 seconds if we have to, and then complete that stop with the rebound instead of having to continue to give up offensive rebounds and continue to defend wearing ourselves down. Another thing that, again, we was brought up, Mary's fouls, but fouling in general, we don't want to continue to put teams on the line. All right, we're defending pretty well. We're having teams shoot 37%. So we're doing our job of making them miss shots. We don't want to give them opportunities at the free throw line, but for bailing them out. So we want to continue to do that as well. And then continue to defend the three. We have them shooting 32%. We're doing a really good job there, defending that three-point line. Again, now we have to finish it with rebounds, long shots, long rebounds. We're understanding of that. So now we're taking that away, and teams are having less possessions to score. So I think we have some places to improve, but overall we're at a decent spot where next year looks pretty good as they have a greater understanding of our defense.
I'm always interested in this question. How much does it change? How much does the system change? How much do you adjust based on personnel, based on scouting, or is it one set system where this is where you're going to be, this is where the ball is, this is where you help, this is where you know, how much is fluid and how much is set in stone as far as your defensive system?
It's set in stone. And one of the areas that I have to do, that I will be doing better, is the demanding of the discipline of it. And that's where we were with our numbers defensively. We're in my mind, without us being disciplined, whether it be with fouls or being in the spot we need to, or keeping our feet, or just playing as hard as we can consistently on that defensive end. Again, that comes back to the practice side of things, of demanding, 40-second defensive possessions and going through those kind of things and pushing people to better limits. We have some kids who in their mind didn't think they were good defensive players. Well, during this time, we've been able to show them a bunch of clips where they're doing exactly what we want and doing it at a high level against high level players. So again, that's something that we see and we know we're going to be able to be more consistent with. But for us, this is what we do. This is how we do it. This is how we do it against teams that do this. This is how we do it against teams that do that. And, not giving in to that.
Yeah, I love that. I've always wondered, because when I became a head coach, when I left Providence the first time I was there, we had a set defensive system that I brought to Rick, and we did the same thing. We never changed it, and we were really good. And I thought it was a huge part of our success. And now I work for Ed, who, it's very different. Like, we will change based on scouting every time. And obviously scouting at this level is so intense and different, and we were the best defensive team in the league this year. and we were making adjustments. It was, consistent adjustments based on scouting. So there's a lot of different philosophies on it. And, it's interesting when you said, get our team to win games on the defensive end. It takes a lot to get your team to believe that can actually be done, to buy into that. I mean, that's a huge challenge. And I think having a defined system is important. And I would say from watching you play, I mean, you're closer than you think, because you were always hard to score on as far as what I saw.
Yeah. And it is a hard thing, but it might be the most powerful team thing in the game.
I love it.
When you have a team, and I've been fortunate to coach a number of teams that have it, when you have a team who leans on their defense and knows that it's showing up every day, it's one of the most powerful things you can have as a team. And I would agree, and we've seen it on film. We know we're closer than it appears, and our kids from the get-go have said that. They've said to us, without us prodding, we need to be better defensively. Our seniors especially have said, we need to be known for our defense. We need to be known for our defense, which is great for us to hear, because now we can keep holding them accountable to that. And they can help, because that's how you get it. As coaches, you can sing it, you can demand it, you can drive it. But when you have players behind the closed doors putting that same kind of accountability to their teammates, that's when you win games with defense.
You're right. You can demand it, but it's a lot easier when you say, hey, this is what you told us you wanted to do. This is what you said. This is where you said we had to be. So, I love watching the way you guys guard, and it seems like it can be a core part of your ethos, certainly moving forward. So, are you a goal setter, Coach? We got a couple of minutes left. Just looking towards next year, is there goals for your team? Do you ask them expectations? Do you set a level for success, or is it more just day-to-day improvement?
I always have one or two that have been consistent for a long time. But we'll tell the kids that, hey, you need to set these, and we don't even need to know what those are. We don't even want to know. But you got to have some standards that you guys have. You got to have some things that you want. You got to be realistic, and you got to be honest about it. So we put it to them. My goal is always simple, is that we play really hard every day, and then at the end of the year, they still like basketball and each other. And I figure if we can reach those goals, we probably did some pretty good stuff.
That's simple. That's a great way to put it. So the UConn question, it's got to be asked. It's come in from a lot of people. We get asked about it on the men's side coming back to the league. Our fans certainly aren't sending Christmas cards to too many UConn fans. So, but obviously UConn women's basketball is a different beast. How does that impact the league? How does it affect it, positive and negative? And what are your thoughts on UConn joining the league next year?
Well, it makes the league an odd number, which is a unique thing just for scheduling purposes, which is something that is different. It gives us 20 league games, so it takes away 2 non-conference games. So those are things that are just kind of, structural, that are a little different and unique to shift to. But you want the best. If you're a competitor, you want to go against the best. And we all have to get better in the Big East, because they're coming in and they're angry. They haven't won a national title in a few years, and they're coming in with points to prove. And it's also been very quick to realize that the Big East is different with them in it. Gino's a big voice. They're a powerful program, and things are going to, until someone changes, things are going to sway that way. But that's the excitement of being a competitor, is being part of trying to change that. And, we've played against them before and understand how hard they play. And just that alone is great for all the teams in the Big East, to have a standard of talent that not only has the physical talent, but has that mental talent to play really, really hard. So, there'll be times it won't be fun having them in the league, but it also it's a great opportunity. We're going to have one of the best programs in the history of sports in our league, and how could you not want to be part of that?
Absolutely, and maybe I was thinking about this. Maybe the best dynasty in sports history, right? I mean, UCLA, John Wooden, that was like 10 years. I mean, we're going on, darn near 30.
Yeah, you could certainly argue it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Yeah, that's certainly going to be a challenge. But like you said, you really, really want, to be the best and to have that power in your league. So, to play against them is certainly a great challenge. You mentioned the non-league. I think you played, was it 11 of your 13 games on the road last year in the non-league or something like that? Was that?
Is that right, Jennifer? Was it 11 out of 13?
Yes, that's the correct number.
So who
Yes.
does the schedule? And is it you, Jen? Is she still on staff? Have they been reprimanded? What's going on there?
Well, again, another issue of when I should have listened to my staff. And last year, Jennifer kept coming to me saying, "Are you sure you want this? Are you sure this is okay?" And she did an outstanding job. We had set ourselves for postseason with that non-conference schedule. But the upside of it, and I'll let Jennifer talk a little bit more about the schedule, the upside of the thinking that way is what you get the next year. If you play 11 out of 13 on the road one year, the next year things might look a little bit different. So
Right.
I'll let Jennifer talk a little bit about what we have going on, but just that's where I was coming from with it, is I wanted a team to go on the road to have to learn and fight through some things, and then knowing that we'd have some home games this year.
So like Coach said earlier, with UConn coming in, it actually lessened the amount of games that we have in the non-conference. We play 7 of our games are competitors from last year, so they're return games. We'll be on the road for 3, I think it is, and we start on the road for 2. So for our fans that are on the call, we're trying to do the same bus trip we did last year when we had the fans come to the Hartford game. We'll probably try that for one of our first 2 games. And we'll be hosting a tournament around Thanksgiving. So that's another thing for people to look forward to. But a lot of home games this year to make up for all of our road games last year.
Terrific. A lot of home games.
And of course, this is all if everything goes okay. If we can have people in the building, if we can, we're still dealing with a lot of what ifs, but certainly are things that we want to keep promoting.
Yeah, for all of us, the virus is in charge right now. So
Yes,
we're
it
hoping
is.
for the best. But well, Coach, I really enjoyed the conversation and with you and your staff, and Friartown certainly appreciate all the input. So, Coach, any last words you want to say before we send it back to Steve Knapp?
I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight again, and please know that our thoughts are with you guys, that you stay safe and healthy, and we so genuinely appreciate your support. At times over the course of our 4 years, it hasn't been as pretty as it will be moving forward, but you keep showing up, and it means a lot to us. And I speak for our whole program. I speak for all of our players, and please know we're accessible. That's one of the great things about women's basketball and about women's basketball at Friartown. If we can help you, if our players can be part of some things to help you guys, if we can, we're here, because we know how much you mean to us, and we're thankful that we mean something to you guys too. So thank you. Stay safe and enjoy the sun if you can.
Thanks a lot, Coach Knapp. It's all yours, buddy.
Coach Walsh, on behalf of Friartown, I want to thank you for doing another outstanding job as a moderator. The check will be in the mail. Just don't look for it every day, my friend. But I do want to say thank you to Coach Crowley and all of his staff, to all Friartown. The best thing about this program, as I said all the time, it's a family. They're really good people. They're building something. And it's a really great experience to take your family, your kids, to experience a great game of basketball and enjoy a night out at Alumni Hall. And as Coach Crowley referenced, we're in uncharted times, and we don't have all the answers right now with what's going to go on with the games, who's going to be allowed to go, but we make the promise that we'll keep you guys informed, open conversation, and we're going to do everything we can to get back to normalcy. But right now, as Coach Walsh said, the virus is in charge. We're trying to fight it, and do your part. Wear your masks. Take care of your fellow family and friends, and just be there for each other. And we're grateful for all you do for Friartown. Be safe. We look forward to seeing you in person. And as always, go Friars.
Go Friars. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Friars. Thank you, guys.